Fantasy Premier League tips and cheats. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. That's a new song I wrote over the break called Feel That Way. The words actually helped me this week. I hope you like it. So today I'm going to talk about decision making in fantasy. We have a choice: fail to decide or decide with the courage to be wrong. To win in FPL, we must be willing to suffer setbacks. And I'm going to begin with a question. Were Pukki owners wrong to bench him against Man City? Pukki was coming off his first blank of the season game week 4. Norwich had so many injuries to their first team, and they were facing the champions who have a solid defensive record. Yes, Laporte was injured, but we didn't know how they were going to cope in his absence until we saw them in action. It's a lot easier to criticize other people's decisions after. Don't let anyone bring you down and convince you that you made a wrong decision when you didn't. You stepped up to the plate and you took a chance after considering all the factors. It just didn't work this time. Indecision is the real enemy in FPL. Don't allow negative results to affect your decision making in the future. Your moves are going to pay off in the long run. So on the previous video, my team fell 20 points behind the experts in just one round. The main goal for Game Week 5 was to build more safeguards against strong FPL managers, to build from a safer foundation. Plan A was to sell a United defender for a Liverpool defender, so Wan-Bissaka was listed at 50% chance of playing, and I sold him for Van Dijk, who looked good Game Week 4, and he has a low risk of rotation during Champions League, which begins this week. Plan B was to take a hit for De Bruyne, who is in excellent form. 13 points Game Week 4, and he scored and provided 3 assists for Belgium against Scotland. The most important thing I do before making any transfer is to watch the games. I've been around football my whole life. I grew up in Brazil and Portugal. I joined Sporting's youth academy in Lisbon as a player when I was 10 or 11 years old. I have my knowledge of the game, just like I'm sure you have yours. I'm going to talk more about the importance of football knowledge in a later video, and if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the post notifications so you don't miss out on anything. So my transfer plan for Game Week 5 was set before the 2-week international break. I watched the key games, and it was just a matter of waiting until the press conferences. There was no time to make a second video because I made the transfers close to deadline. Actually, I was pressured to buy Van Dijk an hour earlier just so I can share my final team on the Game Week 5 blog post. What I really wanted to do was to wait until like 5 minutes before deadline because Liverpool were playing the first game on Saturday. I wanted to check for any last minute lineup news before confirming that transfer. That decision could have hurt my team. And if I'm not creating videos, it's because I'm focusing on my team and transfers. I've been playing for 12 seasons. Quitting has never crossed my mind once. You think the last 2 weeks were bad? About 2 seasons ago, I used my wildcard to move for triple Liverpool attackers. Then I captained Mane, who got sent off in the first half. That was -4 points for my captain on the wildcard. Then Salah was subbed at halftime. I don't even think Firmino made it to 60 minutes. Now I have Mane banned for 3 games, and I'm worried about Salah and Firmino after using the wildcard. So we have to accept these lows as part of the game. It's about overcoming these obstacles and trusting that we're always doing our best. So I watch the games using knowledge and instinct when making a transfer plan, but I also consider other factors like fixtures and ownership stats with strong FPL managers. Heading into Game Week 5, both Mane and De Bruyne were in good form. Maybe the smallest edge to KDB, but it was close. Then I look at the fixtures. Newcastle away showed as red for Liverpool on our fixture difficulty cheat sheet. Newcastle can put in strong away performances, as we saw against Tottenham Game Week 3. I already had Salah plus Mane, so what would happen if both blanked against Newcastle, while Man City attackers scored big against Norwich, who had no defense? Form and fixtures were 2 key factors. Then I looked at ownership stats with the experts. KDB had about 70% ownership in the Elite 64 league, Mane around 12%. So who was the biggest threat to my rank as far as ownership? Now we know what happened. De Bruyne was benched. That was a blow, especially after Mane scored 2 goals. But it wasn't as bad as you might think, because the majority of the experts in Elite 64, they also have KDB. Only a few have Mane. Compared to the previous week, this was actually a step in the right direction. I didn't lose any ground against my direct competitors, and my team's on a solid foundation to build from. Don't allow negative results to affect your decision making in the future. Continue to take calculated risks to gain an advantage. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you with the transfer plan for Game Week 6 later in this video. So that's the strategy. Now let's put it into practice, starting with the Game Week 5 review. And I'm going to begin with the goalkeepers. Matt Ryan, 2 points. Burnley's first shot on target came at 90 minutes +1, and they scored. So that was a really good time. Brighton were in complete control. They didn't deserve to share a point. Ryan was actually unlucky a few weeks back with that first half red card. Then they played Man City. Now this clean sheet wiped out in injury time. I'm actually rolling my eyes behind these glasses. Maguire, 6 points. Boring games are perfect for clean sheets. Maguire's performance against his former club earns him a place in my team Game Week 6. Van Dijk, 2 points. A few nervous moments defensively, but Van Dijk remains a threat from attacking set pieces and faces Chelsea's defense next. Rudiger was subbed off at halftime. He may have suffered another injury, so I'm curious to know if he's going to be ready for Liverpool Game Week 6. Lundstram, 2 points. Sheffield United had chances to score. Lundstram was on for 2 bonus points until they conceded. Luka Digne, 0 points. Digne's crosses are not being converted. They need a reliable striker, so it's interesting that Marco Silva persists with Calvert-Lewin. Typical Digne performance, 0 points. He's probably going to follow it up with double digits next week. Mo Salah, 9 points, vice-captain. Newcastle were excellent in the first half, except for 2 defensive mistakes, which Mane took full advantage of. Those goals changed the game completely because now Newcastle go into the break down 2-1 instead of leading 1-0. Salah was actually pretty quiet in the first half. Then he turned it on around the 60th minute. Liverpool created a ton of chances after that, and they could have scored more goals. I also liked how Firmino combined with Salah. Their chemistry is a boost for Salah owners. Sterling was my captain. He blanked, but it wasn't really that bad because I'm looking at the performance. He hit the post, and he should have had at least 2 assists to Aguero. He also had a few more chances to score late in the game, but they were desperate at that stage, and everything felt a little bit forced. Kevin De Bruyne, benched, 1 point. He's irreplaceable. It's a big difference between Gundogan and KDB on set pieces, especially when you need that extra bit of magic against a motivated team like Norwich. Man City pushed late on, with De Bruyne looking dangerous, but the damage was done. We might see a big response from Man City at home against Watford, and Guardiola is going to think twice about benching De Bruyne in the league game in the future. Mason Mount, 9 points, my replacement for Ceballos. Only 2 teams have scored more goals than Chelsea this season, City and Liverpool. Chelsea versus Liverpool is not the easiest one to predict. I'm thinking about how the manager is going to approach this game. Are they going to play it safe like the UEFA Super Cup, or are they going to go for it? Maddison, 1 point. Another game where he should have scored but didn't. There was no excuse at home against Bournemouth Game Week 4. His points could have saved my week. I also noticed he dropped a little bit deeper at one stage against United. And Maddison's next 3 games are red on our fixture difficulty cheat sheet, although we can make a case for Leicester stepping up against the bigger teams. Pukki, 12 points. I love him. The assist was unselfish, and he worked hard all game, always on the shoulder of the last defender waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He deserved the game-winning goal that ultimately earned him maximum bonus points. So what's the plan for Game Week 6, besides crawling in the fetal position and crying in the corner? Mentally, it's about staying calm. I built a safety net against strong FPL managers. So what's the plan for Game Week 6? Mentally, it's about staying calm. I built a safety net against strong FPL managers. Now I'm going to continue to experiment with key differentials to gain the advantage. This week, that differential is Son, with James Maddison making way. This would give me the following team for Game Week 6. Top cheats for Game Week 6. Are premium defenders still worth the investment? I would say don't ignore defenders with a high point ceiling. Players like Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Digne, even Van Dijk is going to finish near the top of the rankings at the end of the season. You don't need them all, but it's reasonable to own 1 or 2. As far as Manchester City defenders, we might see Guardiola experimenting with different center-back combinations, possibly Fernandinho, to tighten things up defensively. The performance of Otamendi and John Stones is a concern. Even though I don't own Zinchenko, I think he's been unlucky not to deliver an attacking return in recent games. Premium forwards, last week I was considering bringing in an extra forward, Ashley Barnes, but the blank and quiet performance against Brighton puts me off for another game. Aguero and Aubameyang are 2 premium forwards on my watch list, but a move for either requires losing Sterling or Salah, and they have a high scoring potential Game Week 6, so I'm not going to do that. The formation I'm currently experimenting with is a 4-5-1 with 2 premium defenders and 4 premium attackers. As far as the Champions League, keep in mind that key players are going to be in action in Europe midweek. I'm including a Champions League fixture chart on the Game Week 6 blog post. Use the link in the description. So now that my team is moving in the right direction, it's about building momentum. The average scores have been pretty low, which means we can still make big leaps in the overall rank. Stay calm and the green arrows will follow. So that's going to be a wrap for today's video. Stay tuned for the next video with all new justifications for my failed transfers. If you like my music, all my songs are free to download on the website. See the link in the description. Be sure to follow at Upper 90 Studios on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, where you'll get an inside scoop before YouTube. And if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe and turn on your post notifications because this season is going to be incredible. Don't forget to subscribe to our email list and get your free fixture difficulty cheat sheet. Click the Fantasy Premier League tab at upper90studios.com. If you're on a computer, it's at the top right of the page. If you're on a phone, it's at the bottom. Thanks for watching. See you soon.